Yes too. Don't want. Your Majesty. Pass. Straight. I only have one card left. I want. I can't afford it. Crack. Spring, win. Du Fang threw the last card on the card table, and Ying Ying Yanyan's morning suddenly came from around the card table. Disgusting. You can't let Auntie. Little Du, you're playing cards too well, aren't you? Opposite Du Fang, two beautiful women with curly hair, elegant and well-maintained, who looked about 40 or 50 years old, complained to each other, and then took out a few chips from the chips and gave them to Du Fang. Du Fang easily accepted the chips and started shuffling the cards again. Ah, it's just luck, I can't do anything about the big king. Fighting the landlord depends on luck. If you are lucky, let alone the landlord, the land will be lifted for you. Du Fang said with a smile, his hands kept moving, and he began to shuffle the cards familiarly. The cards piled up and changed in his hand, making a water-like clatter. The two aunties held their chins and looked at Du Fang eagerly. How old is Xiao Du? 20. Do you have a girlfriend? Auntie knows a girl, but she looks good. Would you like to meet her? Don't, Auntie, let's just play cards, don't make these fakes, I won't let go of water. Oh, you see, Xiao Du is still shy. It's not that I'm shy, I also have a 5-year-old daughter. If you introduce a girl to me, like being a mother, wouldn't it delay others? Xiao Du is only 20 years old, how come her daughter is only 5 years old? Isn't she a real daughter? Did it? Well, it's an adoption. The three of them chatted without a word at the poker table. Finally, the poker cards were shuffled. Du Fang crossed his fingers with excitement on his face. Come on, two aunties, let's continue. The last game is over. After this game, I have to go back and cook for my daughter. My daughter is hungry and has a terrible temper. He looked at the two enthusiastic aunties and said a little embarrassedly. The two aunties could only complain a few words, but they haven't had enough fun yet. The three began to take turns drawing cards. The Fan's Haped card was unfolded in Du Fang's hand, and Du Fang's eyes lit up. Grab the landlord. I'm really lucky tonight. Aunts, I'm offended. Du Fang smiled. Then began to flip the cards. Playing against the second, Sig unfollowed, Wang Bang threw it, and then a suffocating catharsis finally ended the game. Aunties, spring. Beautiful women. Du Fang rudely accepted the last chips of the two aunties, put them in his pockets, and stood up with a smile. I had a good time with my aunties today. It will be a long time in Japan, and there will be a period in the future. Du Fang smiled and said to the two aunties. The two aunties also stood up, lowered their hands gracefully, with a standard crescent smile on the corners of their mouths, and stared at Du Fang. Xiao Du, don't you really think about the girl that auntie plans to introduce to you? An aunt smiled and said. Du Fang shook his head. Auntie, don't make trouble. You and I are destined to meet again, let the aunties try my craftsmanship, Xiao Du. After speaking, Du Fang turned around and started to leave the card table, humming a little tune, and with the help of the two aunts, he left the extremely luxuriously decorated mansion. The warm sunlight shone down from the sky, the cicadas chirped endlessly on the tree trunks, the green leaves swayed gently in the breeze, and the sunlight passed through the leaves, like crumpled gold, scattered all over the ground. There are cheerful songs resounding between heaven and earth. It is quiet, peaceful, and warm. Du Fang stretched, with a warm and bright smile on his face. Just treat the world with love and sincerity. The beauty and happiness in the world are always intertwined. What you see, all are warm. The two aunties sent Du Fang to the door of the villa and stood quietly. Like a very kind elder. He stared straight at Du Fang's disappearing back. Their raised hands swayed mechanically from side to side. Du Fang felt something, and turned around with a smile, waving at them in response. The surrounding pictures began to throw stones into the calm water, causing slight ripples. In the continuous flooding, the smoke disappears. Jinling University. Study room. Du Fang rubbed his head and got up from the desk. Yawned, and stretched by the way. This sleep was really comfortable. Dreaming again. However, this dream is still very warm and interesting. Fighting the landlord blows up the king and blows up the spring, super cool. Moreover, the ant in the dream is a good-natured person, and she likes to introduce him to blind date girls. If there is no daughter, he was almost moved. Suddenly, a fresh, pungent smell of blood filled the air and entered his nostrils. Du Fang frowned. Taking a glance, there were quite a few students lying on the desks around, who had lost their breath of life and died in a rather tragic state. The smell of blood came from them. Some people had their hearts gouged out, and their hearts were bitten. Some skulls were opened, revealing the messed up brains. The picture is extremely cruel. Du Fang felt a little uncomfortable. Ghosts know what kind of horror these classmates encountered in their dreams. Unfortunately, Du Fang was unable to empathize with these dead classmates. Because his vision of dreaming is a bit different from other people's. The dreams that Du Fang experienced were filled with damn tenderness and intoxicating warmth. Not only is the painting style in the dream warm, the people inside are gentle, pleasant, and hospitable, and they especially like to introduce gentle and virtuous girls to him. Why is this so? Du Fang was puzzled. Is it just because he is handsome that the joys and sorrows between people cannot be communicated? Or because he, Du Fang, is a transmigrator? Of course, perhaps, it may be because Du Fang's heart is full of sincerity and love, that he can dream of something different from others in this era. Du Fang sighed. Others survived the dream disaster and were able to awaken their special abilities, becoming a professional dreamer, earning a high salary and reaching the pinnacle of life. But he can't. He walked out of the dream twice alive, but he never awakened any special abilities. From head to toe, he was an ordinary person. Maybe, this is the price to pay for having fun and warm dreams. Get up and plan to leave the study room. However, as soon as Du Fang stood up, something fell from his body. This is the first time I've encountered it. Du Fang glanced down and bent down to pick it up. A brand new box of cards. On the card box are painted two beautiful women with gentle smiles and flamboyant bodies. Hey? Do you still send cards? The aunties are really enthusiastic. It's not worth the spring that I gave them so many times. Why is this so funny? Du Fang pursed his lips and smiled, and quickly put the cards in his pocket. Just put away the cards. In Du Fang's pupils, his vision gradually drifted away. At this moment, on the retina, slightly bright subtitles appeared. A lovely family owner, Du Fang age, 20 dream spirit, 10 props, aunties photo solitaire members, Luoluo, daughter, losing contact. Mission, work hard for family reunion and family happiness. Please work hard to find all the missing family members. His eyes focused on the name of the member Luoluo, daughter. Ripple spread. A new panel subtitle pops up. Daughter, Luoluo age, 5 Mengling. Family, 56/100, props, falling pig doll Kikai Luoluo's little wish, 1. I hope dad knows can make Luoluo delicious food every day. 2. I hope my dad can buy Luoluo a big house to live in and play hide and seek with Luoluo. 3. I hope Baby can find his mother, grandpa, grandma, brother, uncle, and other relatives as soon as possible, so that the family can be neat and clucking. Du Fang smiled and blossomed. Auntie's photo playing cards are actually props, which is a surprise. He stared at the subtitle panel that appeared in his eyes, which was what he woke up from when he experienced his first dream disaster a month ago. As a traveler, Du Fang is no stranger to this panel. Goldfinger. system. However, what makes Du Fang unable to complain is this system too perfunctory? A lovely family? You are a WeChat family group. As a system, you take this name, UU reading www.uuganshu.com. Does the conscience not hurt? The most important thing is, Du Fang has studied for so long, but he has not found that this system is of any help to him. In addition to being able to see with the naked eye the exact value of the relationship between himself and his daughter Luoluo. So, is this a cultivation system? I don't know if it's serious or not. Playing and developing in a strange world where dreams are ruined is really weirdly interesting. Family love is still falling. There were originally 60 points. Du Fang saw through his daughter's subtitle panel that the relationship between his daughter and him was declining, which shows that my daughter is hungry. My daughter is in a little mood. The consequences of him not coming home in time to cook and eat have already appeared. Du Fang became more and more anxious. In order to go home early and cook for his daughter, Du Fang did not choose to stay in the study room. He got up, left his seat, and pushed open the door of the study room that smelled of blood. Outdoor study. The atmosphere was tense, and a pair of eyes locked the door of the study room. When Du Fang pushed the door and walked out, the dark muzzles of the guns were raised suddenly, all pointing at him. The air seemed to have the smell of gunpowder, spreading abruptly. Compared to a warm and loving dream, reality. Sure enough, it was more icy and ruthless. Du Fang consciously raised his hands, hugged the back of his head, turned to face the wall, raise your hips slightly and squat down slowly. Posture standard. It hurts to be skilled. Did you prepare all monitoring instruments? The scene is sealed off. Idle people stay away. Emergency evacuation of those who are not involved in the dream disaster. The study room of Jinling University was shrouded in a sudden dream disaster. All the 36 students in the study room fell into a dream. Now we are starting to check the students' vital signs and the possibility of survival. Start the evaluation of the dream disaster level. The dreamer is here, and now I'm ready to use my prying ability to probe the dream of the dream disaster, and formulate a dream crossing plan. Jinling University. Outdoor study. The siren rang loudly, and the cordon was pulled up. The building where the study room is located is shielded, and idlers are not allowed to set foot in the area. A professional in uniform is controlling the precision instrument with a serious face. Official law enforcement officers are skillfully maintaining order at the scene. Obviously, this is not the first time they have encountered such a situation. In the crowd, a number of figures in black trench coats came slowly and gathered in front of the screen. The screen reflects the picture of the study room. In the picture, all 36 students are lying on their desks, sleeping soundly, and some are still snoring. Many students also uttered various dream babble. Yes. I will definitely win this one. Don't. I'm not fighting anymore, I've already lost 4 in a row. Leave me alone, I really can't fight landlords. Woo-woo mother said that gambling is wrong. Ha 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 ha. This blows my king, I will definitely win. These ravings made the man in black, who was staring at the screen, frown even more tightly. The leader of the man in black exhaled a breath, and then said, the situation doesn't look very optimistic, these people are deep in their dreams. Ready, lock the peeping object, and the dream picture will be projected on the display screen. The peeping dream counts down the seconds. 3, 2, 1. Drip a soft sound. Next moment. Ripples like water began to appear on the screen. After the ripples trembled, the picture gradually became clearer. The dilapidated walls exuded black liquid, and black moss grew on the fallen white wall paint. Cobwebs are densely covered, and the spiders that are hanging down are corroding the minced meat wrapped in cobwebs. The smell of rot can be smelled through the screen. The old furniture, the gloomy light, and the occasional sound of bones rubbing together are creepy. The center of the room. The student who was locked into Peeping Dream was sitting sweating profusely on a wooden chair dripping with blood, with a card table in front of him. The blood that dripped was the student's own. The student's face was pale, and his eyes were full of fear and despair. He was holding the tattered and old deck of cards spread out in a fan shape in one hand, and all the 5 fingers on the other hand were cut off and blood was flowing. Lose a game, cut a finger. He lost 5 games in a row. 5 fingers said no, no. The student was trembling all over. With difficulty, he bit down 4 cards one by one with his teeth, then spat them out and scattered them on the card table. 3 with 1. The students' voices were shaking as they said. Wang bang, crushed to death. The cold, hoarse voice, like the creaking sound of a fruit knife pressing the surface of the glass, made people feel goosebumps all over. Snapped. 2 black-ended trump cards painted with images of strange women were grabbed by rotten hands and thrown down, and fell on the card table, along with a dropped eyeball. After rolling the eyeball around, it was grabbed back by the rotten hand. The student trembled all over, raised his head, and found a figure on the opposite side of the card table, staring at him with bloodshot eyes that had just been plugged back. Young man, you lost again. This is the last hand. Your bet is, heart. A strange creature who could vaguely see the shape of a graceful woman, with a crescent-shaped mouth, smiled and said hoarsely. Do not. The students were desperate and sweating. He screamed and stood up, threw all the cards in his hand, pushed the card table with one arm, covered his 5-fingered hand, and desperately wanted to escape. However, no matter how he escaped, even with the speed of a 100 meter sprint, he could not escape this old room. The sinister rotten woman suddenly appeared behind the student. The student turned his head, he let out a desperate and frightened hissing scream. A withered and rotten hand pierced the student's heart, grabbing a beating heart and pulling out his body. With a puff, the heart that was taken out was bitten. Drip at this point, the picture fell into darkness. Report. The 36 students who are currently involved in the dream disaster have begun to die. The analysis results have come out. According to the feedback from the dream peeping ability, the coverage of the dream disaster, and the speed of death of the students involved, the current level of the dream disaster can be evaluated, and the dream disaster can be preliminarily identified as a strange rank 3. Class. The code name of the dream disaster can be tentatively set as Ghost Solitaire, and there is a 1% probability of extracting the taboo device of the 3rd grade of the strange order. Outdoor study. A young girl in a black trench coat with an immature face reported data and materials to a middle-aged man who was sitting in front of the screen, smoking a cigarette, and fell into deep thought. Strange rank 3. The rank is a little lower, and the killing efficiency of the dream disaster creatures should not be high. This is fortunate. It is possible to implement the forced dream breaking plan, and the sleeping students. How many can be saved? The middle-aged man stood up, put the cigarette between his fingers, and shook off the ash. The dream disaster of the 3rd rank of the strange rank, although the rank is not high, can already cause casualties. Ordinary people are caught in it. If the dream disaster is overcome slowly, it is basically difficult to survive. Even if it is a dreamer, facing the dream disaster of the 3rd rank, it is easy to have an accident if you are not careful. Dreamer is a special profession derived from this gradually strange world. This world is vast, technologically advanced, and extremely prosperous. But one day, a strange narcolepsy suddenly appeared, and it spread and spread rapidly. People infected with this type of narcolepsy will fall asleep, fall into strange dreams, experience all kinds of terrifying things, and eventually die miserably. This kind of weirdness is called a dream disaster. In this world, there is no supernatural. But, there is in the dream. Ghosts, demons, beasts, evil gods, sins. There are in dreams. Once you encounter a dream disaster and fall into a deep sleep, you will definitely experience boundless terror. The most terrifying thing is, if you die in a dream, your death will be reflected in reality simultaneously. For example, if you suffocate to death in a dream, suffocation will also occur in reality. Being divided by 5 horses in a dream will also show this tragic death in reality. Even if it is smashed into mud, chopped into meat sauce, burned into ashes. In reality, it will be super easy to turn into slush, meat sauce, and ashes. It is very unscientific. And what's even more unscientific, these dreams are contagious. Like a virus, it spreads and spreads around, infecting others, causing others to fall into the same dream and encounter the same danger. There was once a terrifying dream disaster, which started to expand from a community, infecting the entire third-tier city. Millions of people fell into a dream, all were embedded in the walls of despair, and died in this tragic way. In reality, the bodies of these people are also embedded in the walls of reinforced concrete. Dream disaster makes this era weird. But it also gave this era an opportunity, because the dreamer was born. As long as you survive the dream disaster with your own abilities, you can grab the key to open the door to the dream world and gain the ability to re-enter the dream. Moreover, there is a high chance of being able to awaken a special ability. These special abilities are the capital of the Dream Master to help others safely pass through the strange dream of peaceful destruction. Therefore, the requirements for becoming a Dream Master are very strict. It is not only necessary to survive the dream disaster alone, but the strength of the dream spirit is sufficient, and it is necessary to awaken special abilities, both of which are required to be a dreamer. Some people say that reading www.yuyugonshu.com. This is a strange event in parallel time and space. It came to this world in the form of a dream and eroded this world. And even if you can survive the dream disaster, some of the will in the dream disaster will secretly parasitize the human body, gradually erode, and eventually turn into a dream demon and walk the world. Therefore, dream disasters are very dangerous. Dreaming, looking for her in a dream, ferrying yin and yang. Re-entering the dream disaster to ferry and wander. Even an experienced dream master may not be able to escape completely. Therefore, a dreamer is also a profession with a very high mortality rate. If it's just a dream disaster of the 3rd rank strange, I think these students who haven't died can still be rescued. Chen Xi, gather the other members of the team and prepare to attack the dream. The middle-aged man said seriously. Here. The girl in the black trench coat put her legs together and responded loudly. However, when the two of them made a decision, in the distance, a shout suddenly came. Report. Team Zhang, a student woke up from a dream. People are already under control. Looking at the action, you're a habitual offender, and you can't rule out the possibility of being parasitized by the dream demon. Both the girl and the middle-aged man were stunned. Can you survive and wake up alone from the dream disaster of the 3rd rank of strange orders so quickly? If it wasn't for the dream demon parasite. Maybe it's about awakening a genius dreamer. The middle-aged man was suddenly excited, and then he put out the cigarette and sat down immediately. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the screen in front of him. On the screen, there is an innocent face, holding his head, squatting on the ground, like a boy who was just caught out of the bathing city. Name: Du Feng. Height and weight: height 178, weight 123. Specialized: Department of Business Administration, Jinling University. Chen Xi was taking notes, her long eyelashes trembled slightly, and her tender face was cold. Du Feng is also very honest, answering any questions he has. I am 20 years old this year. Single, unmarried, with a daughter. Du Feng added a few more words. Chen Xi raised her eyes slightly. This. You don't need to say this. She held a large stack of documents in her hand, all of which were related to Du Feng. What surprised Chen Xi was that this guy in front of him was not the first time he was involved in a dream disaster. Chen Xi raised his eyebrows, according to the data, you were involved in a strange 9th-rank dream disaster a month ago. As the only survivor of this dream disaster, your spirit was strongly stimulated. I was treated by a psychiatrist. Chen Xi flipped through the materials, finally closed the folder, looked at Du Feng, and asked, "Do you still take the medicine?" 3 days ago, Dr. Lin stopped the drug for me. She said that my mental condition is very good, and I can try to stop the drug for observation, and even I was allowed to go back to school to resume classes. Du Feng smiled happily. Chen Xi nodded, the seriousness between his brows eased a lot, and a smile even appeared on his face. "I'm sorry, we didn't mean to point a gun at you. I understand. Last month, when I came out alive, I aimed more at the barrel of my gun, even tanks, fighter jets, and bazookas. This time the treatment was a little bit worse, and I couldn't help but want to give a bad review." Du Feng smiled brightly, as if telling a funny joke. "Chen Xi. Do you think you are funny?" Chen Xi spread out her hands, with a look of regret on her face. "No way, everyone who survived the dream disaster cannot rule out the possibility of being occupied by the will in the dream and becoming a dream demon. In today's society, the harm caused by dream demons is even greater than that of dream disasters. As dream transcenders, we must kill any threat in the cradle." "I see." Du Feng was very cooperative, nodding incessantly. It is everyone's responsibility to maintain social harmony and stability, and the love and peace of the world. Far away, a staff member packed up the equipment, nodded, and said to Chen Xi, "The genetic screening has been completed, there is no mutation, the energy of the dream spirit is low, and the mental fluctuation is in the normal range. It is initially determined that it has not been parasitized by the dream demon. But still need to continue to observe." After Chen Xiang made an okay gesture, she looked at Du Feng. "We have notified the psychiatrist in charge of you to come here, just wait." Chen Xi said. When Du Feng heard this, a look of anxiety appeared on his face. "How long will it take? My daughter is waiting at home for me to go back to cook and eat. If she is hungry, she will be very unhappy. It will even affect the relationship between me and her." Chen Xi was stunned when she heard the words, "Do you really have a daughter? I can't see it, you've become a father at such a young age, you put it wrong early." "Don't worry, Dr. Lin was notified before taking the transcript, and she will be here soon." Du Feng was still very anxious, and even looked a little uneasy. "I promised to go home today and make cooked chicken wings for her." However, Chen Xi was worried about his mental state and would not let him leave. Du Feng could only sit on a chair, holding his head and digging his fingers into his hair. The sight in the pupils seemed to gradually drift away. Heartstrings were tense, staring at the fluctuating family values on the panel. Drip, the whistle sounded, interrupting Du Feng's thoughts. Far away, the red limousine stopped, the frameless door opened, and a long leg wearing black high-heeled shoes with a white instep stepped out. A tall woman wearing a beige trench coat walked towards Du Feng. "Lin Liulai, Department of Psychiatry, No. 1 Hospital of Jinling City. Can I take him away now?" The woman introduced herself to Chen Xi, took out her business card and handed it to her. Before Chen Xi could react, Du Feng stood up happily. "Dr. Lin, you're here. I have to go home quickly, Luo Luo is hungry, I can't wait." Du Feng said anxiously. Dr. Lin was stunned for a moment, his red lips pursed, and there was an unprecedented solemnity and seriousness on his cold face. "Okay, right now." In the distance, a middle-aged man in a black trench coat also walked over. "Captain Zhang." Dr. Lin looked at each other and nodded. She recognized this person, Zhang Changlin, the captain of the Jinling City Domain Division team. "Man, do you want to take it back?" Although he has undergone preliminary screening, he still cannot rule out the possibility of being parasitized by a dream demon, and he has to continue to observe. Zhang Changlin spoke lightly. Dr. Lin's expression didn't change at all. After thinking about it, she raised her finger and pointed at Chen Xi. Captain Zhang is not at ease, you can also let your team members follow. Zhang Changlin glanced at Chen Xi, hesitated for a moment, and nodded. It is good. The sky gradually dimmed, the sunlight completely disappeared, and the stars climbed into the night sky. Jinling City. Zhongliang Community. The indicator light of the elevator is constantly flashing, rising layer by layer. Ding, the 13th floor is here. A crisp sound, accompanied by an electronic female voice. The elevator door opened slowly. Inside the elevator, Du Feng, Chen Xi, and Lin Liulai walked out. Du Feng was carrying 2 bags in his hand. One bag contained frozen wings bought in the supermarket, and the other bag contained a bottle of Coca-Cola. Du Feng couldn't wait to come to a door and unlock it with a fingerprint lock. Drop, the door opened. Du Feng's eyes suddenly softened. Dad knows. As soon as the door opened, in Du Feng's ear, there was a surprise, a milky voice. Inside the house, wearing a pleated skirt and holding a pink pig doll, the delicate little girl, like a little princess in a fairy tale, looked at Du Feng in surprise, and then deng 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 rushed in desperately, crashing into the squatting body. In the arms of Du Feng. Dad will make you cooked chicken wings tonight. Du Feng rubbed Luoluo's head. Luoluo's eyes became brighter and brighter, and a happy smile bloomed on her pink and baby fat face. The pink pig doll she was strangling seemed to be grinning too. This is Aunt Lin and Aunt Chen. Say hello to the 2 aunties. Du Feng pointed at Lin Liulai. Lin Liulai squatted down on one knee, changing the coldness and indifference on her face, like an iceberg melting, revealing a stiff but gradually bright smile. Aren't you good at Luolujiao? My sister is here to see you. Afterwards, he hung his hands in the air, gently stroking the air. At the door, Chen Xi's body froze, slightly stunned. She looked at a man and a woman who were stroking the air, talking and laughing. The hairs on the neck are standing upside down. I felt a chill rise from my back. You? Are you performing a non-physical performance? Can you all see it? I just can't see it. So is there something wrong with you, or? I have a question. Chen Xi's hair stood on end, feeling that she agreed to the captain's visit, a little sloppy. As a lucky person who survived 2 consecutive dream disasters, Du Feng, although the dream spirit fluctuations on his body are very weak, and he has no special ability to awaken, but, is he really just an ordinary person? Chen Xi had a strong urge to turn her head and leave. Du Feng and Lin Liulai both reached out their hands to touch the air, looking funny, but Chen Xi felt a strong sense of unease. As a professional dreamer, Chen Xi has a good understanding of some strange things. However, most of the weirdness is presented in dreams, and it is difficult to appear in reality. Even people who are parasitized by dream demons will not appear weird in reality, although their temperament will change, becoming irritable, suspicious, crazy, killing, etc. But they are at least within the comprehension range. Even, they hide themselves more normally than normal people. Chen Xi's head was spinning rapidly, and her hands were already on the pistol handle around her waist. All the guilt and anxiety stemmed from the lack of firepower. However, at this time, she noticed Lin Liulai. But she saw Lin Liulai turned her head and winked at her. Chen Xi was startled, and seemed to understand something. She held the hand of the gun handle and released it slightly. Du Feng turned his head and looked at Chen Xi, who was not moving. Chen Xi's body was tense, and she showed a crescent-like smile to the air in front of Du Feng. Hi! Du Feng smiled. My family is so cute, how could everyone not like it? Luoluo, look, everyone likes you very much. Du Feng lightly smiled and rubbed Luoluo's head. Luoluo, who was holding the pink pig doll, stared at Chen Xi, smiling happily, the corners of her mouth grinned, and she stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. Sit down first, and I'll cook. Let's have dinner together later. Du Fang said with a smile. Carrying frozen chicken wings and coke, he walked into the kitchen. Thawing, blanching, cutting knife. Heat oil, put in a pan, fry. After the chicken wings are golden on both sides, pour in the cola. Braised. A series of actions are flowing. Du Fang was busy in the kitchen, even with a smile on his face. On the sofa in the living room, Chen Xi and Lin Liulai took their seats. Can you see? Chen Xi looked at Lin Liulai, lowered her voice, and asked in a low voice. Lin Liulai glanced at her and regained the coldness that the iceberg should have. What do you think? Of course she can't see either. I am Du Fang's psychiatrist. As the only survivor of the terrible dream disaster a month ago, his spirit was greatly stimulated, and he had some hallucinations. Lin Liulai thought for a while and said. She used the most scientific explanation to describe the problems Du Fang encountered. He always thought that he saved a 5-year-old girl named Luoluo in that dream disaster. And he adopted the other party and lived with that girl. Leaning on the soft sofa, Lin Liulai said coldly while turning her head to look at Du Fang who was busy in the kitchen. Chen Xi suddenly realized, so just now, you were acting. Lin Liulai glanced at this somewhat silly girl. After taking a sip of boiled water, Dr. Lin said lightly, I gave him medicine, but it didn't work. This kind of mental trauma needs time to heal slowly, but before that, don't stimulate him, don't let him know the truth of the matter. Step by step, let nature take its course. According to the acting, it's good for him. Chen Xi understood, let out a breath, and relaxed slightly in her tense heart. Lin Liulai couldn't see either, so she felt at ease, which meant that it wasn't her fault. She seemed to have thought of something, and after a moment of hesitation, Lin Liulai glanced over with her narrow and beautiful eyes, since you are a member of Captain Zhang's team, you should be a dreamer, right? Chen Xi nodded proudly, I just passed the examination of the Dream Master and got the professional certificate. This year, a dreamer can be said to be the most honorable profession. To be a dreamer, she, Chen Xi, has the capital to be proud of. Lin Liulai frowned, hesitated for a while, but still said, I remind you, don't rush to spy on him. Chen Xi couldn't help but be stunned when she heard the words. But after saying this, Lin Liulai fell silent, no longer communicated with her, just holding the water glass in a daze. From time to time, as if cheating a corpse, she would smile beside her, smiling super sweetly, Luoluo is cute, Luoluo is so cute. Chen Xi. Oh, woman, born to play. It's like I can really see a little girl who doesn't need it. However, Lin Liulai's reminder to her made her a little curious. Can't spy on Du Fang? Why did Lin Liulai remind her like this? Since Du Fang's daughter is a fake, everything is Du Fang's imagination, so what does it matter if you snoop or not? Du Fang is not a dreamer. There is no special ability to awaken, and the fluctuation of the dream spirit is not too strong. Just an ordinary person, what can she do if she snoops? A dreamer can fall into a dream, and falling into a dream is actually a kind of ability to spy on privacy. Ordinary people can't feel it at all. Du Fang, after all, is a survivor from the dream disaster of the 9th rank trick. Maybe, what secrets really exist? The more Chen Xi thought about it, the more curious she felt in her heart. However, she suppressed this emotion. As a dreamer, you can't easily use your dream peeping ability on ordinary people. This is the professional ethics of a dreamer. As a newly certified dreamer, her conduct still very pink. Jinling University. Outdoor study. Zhang Changlin was holding a cigarette, half of the smoke was burning, and the ashes drifted like snowflakes. He stared at the study room for a long time. A wisp of doubt appeared in his eyes. In the study room, doctors in white lab coats wrapped the bodies of those students who died miserably in body bags and carried them out on stretchers. However, there are not many. The rest of the students have woken up naturally, each with lingering fears, weeping and hugging into a ball outside the study hall, accepting the interrogation of the Dream Master and the screening of the Dream Demon parasite. Broken. How could this strange third-grade dream disaster be broken? Zhang Changlin was very puzzled. Of course, breaking the dream disaster is a good thing, it can reduce many casualties, not only save many students from death, but also save his team members from risk. But the dream was shattered, there has to be a reason, right? I didn't find the reason for this, so I'm so sorry to take a credit for nothing. Mainly, let him report to his superiors, it's not easy to write. Smoking a cigarette, Zhang Changlin began to think. Someone once put forward a special theory, thinking that the dream disaster is not so much a dream as it is some dilapidated and rotten parallel world projections eroded by strangeness. Unscientific and incomprehensible taboos such as evil spirits and evil spirits. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com blends with the world in the form of a dream. And the theoretical basis for this reason. It lies in the birth of the dreamer. Dream disaster is a disaster for ordinary people. But for the dreamer, it is a place to become stronger. The dream masters attacked the disasters of dreams and could get feedback from the dream spirits. Dream spirit is a kind of spiritual energy, like the gasoline that makes the car run. The dream spirit is the foundation of the dream master being able to fight and confront the various unscientific existences in the dream disaster dreamland. The denser the dream spirit, the stronger the ability of the dreamer. Even, the dreamer can bring back to reality some things called forbidden devices with extremely strong dream spirit energy from the dream disaster. There are two reasons for the disappearance of the dream disaster. First, the dream disaster was broken and the strangeness was killed. Second, the taboo device hidden in the dream disaster was extracted. The first situation does not exist, because my team and I have not yet entered the dream disaster, and the dream disaster has been broken. According to the descriptions of the awakened students, the strangeness in the dream disaster still exists. That can only be the second case. The taboo device in the dream disaster was taken away by someone. Zhang Changlin's thinking became clearer and clearer. He picked up the cigarette with and shook the ashes. Who? Then who took the taboos away? Zhang Changlin thought of a person. He squinted his eyes, raised the corners of his mouth, and put on an interesting smile. Could it be that the one who woke up alone from the dream disaster at a very fast speed? A student called Du Feng. Could it be that student? Zhang Changlin stood up, beckoned, and told the fully armed team members to finish work and prepare to leave. The dream disaster has been resolved, and there is no need to stay in the Dream Transcendist team responsible for plundering the dream disaster. The next aftermath work will be handed over to the People's Police. Although the taboo device of the third rank is not precious, but, that student named Du Feng is just an ordinary person, how can he take away the taboo device in the dream? Is it possible that the strange creatures in the dream are chasing after him and giving it to him? Zhang Changlin lit a cigarette again, took a deep breath, and exhaled a ring of smoke. Incomprehensible. He asked someone for information about Du Feng. According to the data, Du Feng is just an ordinary person. The concentration of dream spirits is there, but it has just reached one energy unit, which is very weak. Although it has reached the minimum standard for the assessment of dream transforming masters, it is only barely achieved. In addition, the special ability has not been awakened, so it is impossible to become a dream transforming master. Then, could it be parasitized by a dream demon? In today's society, although dream disasters that appear from time to time are also a great threat, the greater threat to today's world are those dream demons who run out of dreams, parasitize people, rob their bodies, and plunder their souls. But if it is parasitized by dream demons, the concentration of dream spirits will soar in the initial stage, and the fluctuations of dream spirits caused by it will be difficult to hide. Zhang Changlin Sichin wrote. In other words, is Du Feng really an ordinary person? Can ordinary people take the taboo device? Possibility, but very low. Fortunately, Chen Xi followed, and is now by Du Fang's side. That's right, let her secretly investigate by means of peeping dreams, and maybe she will be able to know whether Du Fang has taken the taboo device. Zhang Changlin laughed. If Du Fang really took away the taboo weapon and broke the dream disaster of this tricky third rank, then he should be vigilant and keep an eye on it. Perhaps, Du Fang is hiding something. Why did you hide it? Thinking of this, Zhang Changlin stopped thinking about it. He took out his mobile phone and dialed Chen Xi's communication number. The air was filled with the rich aroma of cola chicken wings. Du Fang made 3 dishes and 1 soup. In addition to cola chicken wings, there was also a plate of scrambled eggs with shrimp and shredded potatoes with vinegar, and a bowl of seaweed egg soup. They are all ordinary home-cooked dishes, but the cooking is full of color, fragrance, and appetite. On the dining table, there are 4 sets of bowls and chopsticks. Lin Liulai naturally sat on the chair and poured out a glass of the remaining half bottle of Coke after cooking. Luo, my sister will pour you Bing Kuo Le. Lin Liulai was like a melting iceberg. With a smile she placed a glass of Coke on the table where no one was sitting. Chen Xi was a little speechless. As expected of a psychiatrist, he speaks words to others, and speaks to ghosts. How could it be so similar? The tea smells. Chen Xi thought about it. She immediately picked up a piece of chicken wing with chopsticks and put it in the bowl of Luoluo. My sister will give you chicken wings. Luoluo is growing up, so eat more. Chen Xi smiled sweetly. Du Fang glanced at her, with a soft smile on his face and beckoned towards the sofa in the distance. Don't play Luoluo, come and thank you aunties. Lin Liulai. Chen Xi. Du Fang didn't pay attention to these details. He looked at Luoluo who was sitting on the chair, staring at the cola chicken wings, and said, Eat more Luoluo, both aunties like you very much. Lin Liulai and Chen Xi gave awkward and stiff smiles at the right time. The atmosphere at the dining table was somehow warm, a ghost. Chen Xi took a big mouthful of rice, just wanting to quickly end this meal with the air, and go home to skincare and sleep. She can also confirm Du Fang's situation, he is just an ordinary person. The spirit suffered a little trauma, and there were a few abnormalities, so the possibility of being parasitized by the dream demon was ruled out. Suddenly, the phone in her pocket rang. Chen Xi hurriedly put down the bowls and chopsticks, showing an embarrassed look at Du Fang. Then, she walked to the entrance and answered the phone. Hello, Chen Xi. Team leader. What are you doing? I'm having dinner. Chen Xi was a little puzzled why the captain called. Concerned about your subordinates? What's the point of this kind of non-hazardous observation mission? Look for an opportunity to spy on the student named Du Fang, and sense whether he has the dream spirit of the taboo device on him. On the phone, Zhang Changlin said in a deep voice. Chen Xi. Spying. Isn't that just voyeurism? She, Chen Xi, clean and pure, with pink and tender conduct, how could she do such a thing? Boss, this is not good. Du Fang is just an ordinary person. Isn't it stipulated in the rules of the Dream Master that you can't easily spy on ordinary people's dreams? Chen Xi is trying to save her integrity. Spying? Who told you about snooping? I'm asking you to spy on secrets. Don't confuse the concept. Besides, the rules say that you can't take it lightly, not completely impossible. We have serious business to do, we are investigating the case, that's all, don't simmer for any emotions, go in and out, how fast it is, hurry up to peep. No, check it out, and report it to me. I suspect that Du Fang took away the taboo device in this dream disaster. Zhang Changlin's tone became serious. This girl's film also entangled with him about the rules of the Dream Master. Sure enough, he is just a new dream teacher who has just been certified, young and naive. However, ethics only need to be hacked once, I'll get used to it later. Time will teach her how to grow. Chen Xi was very tangled. She wanted to try her best to save her own integrity, but Zhang Changlin hung up the phone after saying I'm very optimistic about you. Zhang Changlin, the captain, gave an order, but Chen Xi, a newcomer in the workplace, was embarrassed to refuse. What's more, Zhang Changlin gave a reason. Du Fang took away the taboo device in the dream disaster? Shouldn't it? Chen Xi murmured. Through the entrance, she secretly glanced at Du Fang, who was serving Luoluo with a pampering smile. Except for some mental problems, Du Fang is just an ordinary person everywhere. Can ordinary people take the taboo device? Chen Xi didn't believe it. However, since Zhang Changlin had given an order, he had no choice but to spy. But, not now. After she left Du Fang's house with Dr. Lin, it would be good to turn around and spy again. Although it was the first time, but Chen Xi knows. To snoop, you have to be quiet. Chen Xi readjusted her mood, with a smile on her face, she returned to the dining table, and gave Luoluo a cola chicken wing by the way. She glanced at the chicken wings that had not been touched in the bowl, and her heart relaxed slightly. Sure enough, everything was fake. It's all Du Fang's imagination. Afterwards, Chen Xi talked and laughed and reintegrated into the warm and loving dining atmosphere. The meal is over. Lin Liulai stepped on high heels and took the elevator to get off the parking lot and left Du Fang's community. She originally wanted to take Chen Xi with her, but Chen Xi refused with a blushing face, saying that she lived not far and could go back for a walk. Lin Liulai understood. Before leaving, Lin Liulai took a deep look at Chen Xi. She didn't say anything. As a reminder, she has already said it. This woman still has a tough head, so it's none of her business. Recalling her past experience, Lin Liulai's cold face showed a hint of fear. Without hesitation, with a kick of the accelerator, the engine roars. The red limousine, like a red lightning in the dark night, drove out of the community. Chen Xi strolled downstairs in the dimly lit community, struggling with mental struggles. As a professional dreamer, she shouldn't use such means to peep at ordinary people. However, she is also a member of the dream transmitter team, and she has to complete the task. It's so confusing. After thinking for a long time, she sighed. After all, she chose to return to Du Fang's community. In fact, Chen Xi herself was a little curious, why did Lin Liulai persuade her not to spy? Why? Night, getting deeper. Everyone went to sleep. The lights in Du Fang's room were also quietly turned off. Ding, the 13th floor is here. The electronic female voice of the elevator reverberates. Chen Xi quietly walked out of the elevator. The entire floor was incomparably dark and quiet. Someone in the corridor was not turning off the tap, and the sound of dripping water reverberated. Chen Xi stood in front of Du Fang's house. Take a deep breath. I'm sorry, I offended you. Chen Xi murmured. Afterwards, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com closed her eyes with a sense of ritual, and slowly she raised her hand and touched her eyebrows. The dream spirit is released. The next moment, starting from between the eyebrows, the space seemed to turn into a rippled water surface thrown by a stone. Chen Xi opened her eyes. At this moment, she has become a spiritual energy body. As long as she enters within 1 meter of Du Fang's body, she will be attracted by Du Fang's mental fluctuations and enter Du Fang's dream. This is the basic dream peeping ability mastered by a dreamer. Afterwards, Chen Xi walked slowly, and her body directly passed through the portal and entered Du Fang's house. However, her body froze suddenly. Because, in the dimly lit living room, a little girl in a pleated skirt is standing by the window. The little girl hummed a melodious nursery rhyme, "There is a pink pig doll in the creek nest." He seemed to sense Chen Xi behind him. The little girl in a pleated skirt slowly turned her head. The cold moonlight shone down from the window, illuminating a pale and bloodless face. 2 blood-colored tears fell from the girl's eye sockets and turned into 2 blood-colored lines along her cheeks. The girl's tongue suddenly protruded from her mouth, extremely long and narrow, and covered with barbs. She licked the blood from the tears, like licking the sauce left by cooked chicken wings. By the way, on the pale face, there were shocking bloodstains scraped by barbs. Afterwards, the girl tilted her head at Chen Xi and grinned. A mouth full of fine, sharp, inverted triangular-shaped fangs was revealed. Giggle cluck. Auntie, are you here again? Thanks for watching, please subscriber. Weird, cold, dark, to die. One after another different emotions spread in Chen Xi's heart. Like thick ink dripping into clear water, the darkness spread suddenly. Looking at the strange and terrifying little girl under the moonlight, Chen Xi's inner fear seemed to be infinitely magnified in an instant. Facing this little girl, fear seems to be seduced unconsciously. Chen Xi's legs were shaking, and she couldn't stop swaying. Turn out to be what Du Fang said is true. He really has a daughter. It's not speculation. Not mentally ill. Chen Xi suddenly understood. Lin Liulai persuaded her not to spy on Du Fang's reasons easily. Lin Liulai knew it for a long time. She is a psychiatrist, she may have spied too. Chen Xi fell to the ground, she wanted to move, she wanted to turn her head to escape, and let her mental will escape back to her body. But, she can't do it. Her legs, filled with fear, couldn't move, couldn't even take a step. Under the moonlight, the girl with the pink pig doll in the creaking nest smiled brighter and brighter, and her mouth full of fangs was sharper than the sharpest dagger in the world. At this time, Chen Xi noticed that the girl was holding a chicken wing in her hand. Those are the cola chicken wings that Du Fang cooked for his daughter. Auntie, you're here again. But, you disturbed Luoluo secretly eating cooked chicken wings. Luoluo said, getting angry. She took a step, and Chen Xi felt that the air around her seemed to be continuously compressed under the influence of the dream spirit, like wall after wall, pressing her into patties. The feeling of suffocation made Chen Xi more and more fearful and desperate. The intensity of this dream spirit. The lower-ranked dreamer. No, the middle. No, superior. This is the limit in the rank of a dreamer that she knows. But it doesn't seem to be enough. This is not a dream. She hasn't peeped into Du Fang's dream yet, and her spiritual body has not approached within 1 meter of Du Fang, that is to say, she is not in a dream now. Du Fang's fake daughter. Does it exist in reality? It's just that she can't see it with the naked eye? Chen Xi felt that breathing became more and more difficult, even though her consciousness told her that her spiritual body did not need to breathe. However, she felt that death was getting closer and closer to her. This little girl, as long as she has a thought, that terrifying tongue can stab her to death. She might. Dying. Giggle cluck. Luoluo wants to enjoy the cooked chicken wings made by Dad's nose in peace. Why does Auntie bother Luoluo? Luoluo grabbed the cola chicken wing and stuffed it into her mouth, biting her fangs down. Click. Along with the broken bone residue, there was a horrific chewing sound. Chen Xi was trembling all over. She raised her head and looked desperately at the devilish little girl who stepped on the little black leather shoes and approached her step by step, her pupils getting smaller and smaller. It was as if she had been thrown into the ice cellar. Don't kill me! Chen Xi's tears fell. Is this the price for her conduct from pink to black? The price is too great. She just became a dreamer. Her beautiful life has just begun. Luoluo laughed. She opened her mouth, and the mouth full of fangs opened wider and wider. At last, he took Chen Xi's mouth in one mouthful, the whole brain. Snapped. The lights in the living room suddenly turned on, dispelling the moonlight and illuminating the darkness. Du Fang rubbed his sullen eyes and walked out of the room in his pajamas. Luo Luo, what are you doing? Du Fang asked suspiciously. He looked at Luo Luo, who was wearing a pleated skirt with a pink pig doll in the creaking nest. Luo Luo stood at the door and let out a giggling laugh. Hearing Du Fang's voice, Luo Luo turned her head. Her face was covered with baby fat, the meat was very pink and tender, and the corners of her mouth were stained with the sauce of cola chicken wings, her face innocent. Dad knows, Luo Luo heard movement outside the door. Luo Luo raised her little face, innocent and romantic, with a milky voice. Du Fang raised his eyebrows. He walked to the door and looked through the cat's eyes. He really found someone outside the door. When he opened the door, he saw Chen Xi, who was lost and fell to the ground, with his legs swaying. Miss Chen, what's wrong with you? Du Fang was taken aback. Late at night, people are quiet. In front of her house, a woman with trembling legs. What are you doing in the middle of the night? As if hearing a human voice, Chen Xi raised her head stiffly, her eyes fell on Du Fang's face, and she focused slightly. Finally, she saw Du Fang's face clearly. It is the appearance of a person. Chen Xi's lips turned pale, and she was moved to tears. Why are you still crying? Lost in love? Du Fang hurriedly pulled her up. Luo Luo, go and pour a glass of water for Aunt Chen. Du Fang shouted. Okay, Dad knows. Luo Luo replied in a milky voice, and then smiled sweetly at Chen Xi. Puff! Chen Xi felt her legs soften again, and fell to the ground. Maybe it's because the ability to see dreams hasn't been completely released. She can still clearly see Luo Luo's appearance in reality. However, it is different from Du Fang's perspective. In Du Fang's eyes, Luo Luo is tender, very cute, like a baby angel. However, in Chen Xi's eyes, what she saw was a demon. The mouth is full of inverted triangle fangs, the long and narrow tongue is covered with barbs, and the eyes are constantly gurgling blood, which is strange and terrifying. Chen Xi was agitated all over. She shrank her hips and straightened her legs. He directly fainted in Du Fang's arms. Du Fang. Seemingly thinking of something, Du Fang turned his head and glanced at Luo Luo, who was holding his little pig doll with a pouting face. Luo Luo, did you scare her? Du Fang asked, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Luo Luo pinched the corner of her skirt, her left toes drew circles on the ground, aggrieved and embarrassed, and said, Luo Luo didn't do it on purpose, it was she who broke through and ate cooked chicken wings. Luo Luo raised her little face, her eyes lit up, and said, Luo Luo doesn't have any bad intentions, I just think she's very fragrant and want to lick her. Du Fang rubbed Luo Luo's head and said solemnly, no, you can't lick it. If you lick it in the future, Dad's nose will be angry. Du Fang pretended to be angry. Luo Luo. Luo Luo quickly tightened the little pig doll and said nervously. The little pig in his arms was almost strangled and screamed miserably. Du Fang suddenly smiled. In fact, he has always known that ordinary people can't see Luo Luo. Both Lin Liulai and Chen Xi were just acting with him. After all, sometimes, they pretended to smile towards Luo Luo, but they didn't smile in the right place. That's stupid. Du Fang is not stupid. However, Du Fang guessed that Yu reading www. If the yuyuganshu.com domain master uses his special abilities, he can actually see Luo Luo, but the Luo Luo in his eyes is definitely not the same as the Luo Luo in his eyes. Just like when he entered a dream disaster. In his dream, everything will become incomparably warm and sweet. The sun is shining, the breeze is soft, and people are full of love and harmony. In fact, the real dream disaster must be very terrifying, Du Fang can infer from the death of so many people every time. A dream, maybe. It's beautiful only for him. Maybe it's because of the system of love each other's family. Looking at Chen Xi who fainted, Du Fang was really curious. How terrifying is Luoluo in Chen Xi's eyes. My family Luoluo is so cute, no matter how terrifying, it can't be scary, right? Thinking of this, Du Fang stretched out his hand, pinched Luoluo's cheek, and gently tugged, full of elasticity. His skin was white and tender, and could be broken by blowing a bullet. This is too cute. Chen Xi woke up leisurely. As a dreamer, the toughness of mental will is much stronger than that of ordinary people. He opened his eyes vaguely, and his eyes were stunned, and he saw Du Fang stretched out his hand and pinched Luoluo's face, like pulling dough, pulling out a meter long, and the blood in Luoluo's eye sockets sprayed out like a dam bursting waterfall, that mouth full of water. The fangs, and the tongue covered with barbs, wrapped around Du Fang's arm. Drops of saliva, mixed with the blood sprayed from the eye sockets, dripped from the tongue and dripped on her face. Chen Xi. He raised his hips, raised his legs, and with a jolt, he passed out as straight as a small sampan. Chen Xi felt that it would be better if she fainted. Chen Xi woke up. For the first time, the ability to peep dreams was lifted. Pale and trembling, she huddled in the sofa with tears in her eyes. She looked around cautiously, feeling the huge empty room. There are people everywhere, it's very lively. Du Fang poured her a cup of hot water. Why did Miss Chen come back in the middle of the night? Didn't you say that the suspicion of parasitic dream demons on me has been lifted? Du Fang asked in a deep voice. Chen Xi took a sip of hot water, and the heat flowed into her body, which slowly restored her inner peace. However, now she looked at Du Fang, her eyes were strange, suspicious, and frightened. The devil, what the is going on? Was she in a dream just now? Or, the devil, does it really exist in reality? Chen Xi looked at the nothingness beside Du Fang. At this moment, she couldn't see anything without her ability to peep dreams. The coercion of the dream spirit that made her despair has long since disappeared. So, this is the special ability that Du Fang awakened after surviving the dream disaster twice. Chen Xi murmured. If this is the case, Du Fang may have a terrifying potential and strength that even he himself does not know about. There are also different types of abilities awakened by dream masters. Most people survive from the dream disaster, and their bodies will be infiltrated and transformed by the power of the dream spirit, becoming infinitely powerful, or extremely fast, or super jumping. This is called a flesh-type dreamer. Relatively common. Another is that the mental power will be transformed, and you can use mental power to control objects, control kitchen knives to cut vegetables, control sharp needles and acupuncture, make pots and pans levitate in the air, knocking and beating, etc. This is called a psychic-type dreamer. Slightly scarce, Chen Xi belongs to this type. In fact, in addition to these two types of dream masters, there is also a type of dream master. They can lay out a field in the dream, can freely change the situation in the field, and even forcibly tamper with the dream environment, characters, etc. This kind of dreamer is called a domain-type dreamer. Domain-based dreamer, that's a cutting-edge talent in the field of dreamer. Chen Xi suspects that Du Fang is a domain-type dreamer, and this kind of dreamer is very rare, because, after he can truly control the field, his strength will be very powerful, and the upper limit is extremely high. Even a single person can overcome a high-grade dream disaster. Rumor has it that the giants who founded the Dream Translator Association are domain-type dream translators. Chen Xi felt that Du Fang's daughter Luoluo might be the character Du Fang imagined and created in the realm. Although it is fake, it is a reflection of Du Fang's inner character. That is to say, the heart of this man. There is a devil hidden. No wonder Du Fang was able to survive 2 dream disasters. This man is a devil. As soon as Chen Xi thought of this, her whole body was tense, her legs were clamped, and she only felt Du Fang, who was laughing, his sense of threat soared. It's more ferocious and terrifying than the most wanted criminal in the world. Oh my god! She actually had dinner with the devil tonight. Chen Xi's clamped legs began to swing again, and she was already thinking about whether to faint again. Miss Chen! Miss Chen! Looking at the dazed morning light, Du Fang frowned and raised his voice. Puff! Yes. I'm sorry. Chen Xi slipped softly from the sofa to the ground, and said with a face full of despair. I didn't mean to spy on you. We suspected that you took away the taboo device in the dream disaster. Let me check it secretly. This is my duty. Chen Xi didn't hide it, because I can't hide it. The domain-type dreamer's ability to peep dreams is terrifying. In front of a domain-type dreamer, concealment is a very stupid act. The opponent's dream peeping ability can easily tear her psychological defense line. Once exposed, it will only increase the risk of her being torn. I really have to wait until Devil Du forcefully breaks open her heart and looks at her heart unscrupulously, then. It's too late. She wants to live. She's still young. Moreover, he is a graduate of a famous university, and his future is infinite. Du Fang was stunned, his eyebrows raised involuntarily. I see. Taboo device? Du Fang took out from his pocket the cards presented by the two passionate aunties in the dream. The taboo device you're talking about, is that this? Du Fang said. Chen Xi looked at the cards that Du Fang had spread out in his palm. This time, even if he didn't fall into a dream, Chen Xi sensed it. In a trance, she saw the strong evil spirit, the black cursed silk thread that was entangled continuously, and two beautiful women with evil smiles hanging on the cardboard box. The two beautiful women seemed to slowly rise from Du Fang's back, staring at her faintly. This feeling, this card, it is a contraindication device that can be exchanged like a fake. Sure enough, it was taken away by this man. Ordinary people? The data is deceiving. How could ordinary people take the taboo device unscathed? Chen Xi's legs began to soften again. She is so panicked. Devil, with such a ferocious taboo. She seemed to be able to imagine her own ending. On a rainy night, the corpses are divided, trumpet, Suana, hanging on the report column of Duman building, grey head portrait among the stacks of wreaths. So poor. Du Fang didn't pay attention to Chen Xi, who was rich and shivering. He played poker for a while and was filled with emotion. The taboo device, it sounds like a high-end thing. Unfortunately, he was unable to use it. He is just an ordinary person who can't even pass the professional dream transforming teacher certificate. Miss Chen, is this thing going to be handed in? Is there a pennant for handing in? Du Fang thought about it and asked. He is a law-abiding good citizen, such a dangerous thing. Let's hand it over to the state. Chen Xi couldn't help but be stunned when she heard the words. What are you talking about? If she answered that she wanted to hand it in, wouldn't you immediately kill and dismember the body, and play a Suana to celebrate? Absolutely. The mind of the devil, absolutely. Actually, you don't have to turn it in. Under normal circumstances, taboo devices can be sold to the Dream Transcendent Association, and the price is not low. Of course, the black market also charges. Although the price will be higher than that of the Dream Transcendent Association, the risk is also high. If you want to sell it, I can help. Furthermore, if you are proficient in the ability to master the taboo device, the Dream Transcendent Association also recognizes it. After passing the test, you can even become a Dream Transcendent and get a small book. Chen Xi took a deep breath and said seriously. What are you submitting? You must not submit it. When Du Fang heard the words, there was a light in the depths of his pupils, and it flickered faintly. Can I exchange money? If you are proficient in the ability of the taboo device, can you still become a dreamer? Get a small book? Before that, Du Fang really didn't know. He always thought that to become a dreamer, two things must be satisfied. The dream spirit is strong enough to awaken special abilities. He Du Feng couldn't achieve these 2 points. But I never thought that if you can master the taboo device, you can also become a dreamer. However, Du Feng's eyes quickly dimmed. What's the point? I'm just an ordinary person, and I don't know how to use a taboo device. Casting the taboo device also requires a strong enough dream spirit, and his dream spirit is very weak. Du Feng sighed regretfully. Chen Xi was embarrassed. You pretend, continue to dress up. Dad knows. On the side, Luo Luo looked at Du Feng, who was somewhat lonely, and raised her cute little face. Don't be unhappy, Dad. By Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Luo Luo can use it. Luo Luo teaches Dad. By Luo Luo held the pink pig doll and volunteered. When the words fell, Luo Luo stretched out her tender and fleshy little hand and pressed it on the card. The card lying quietly in Du Feng's palm trembled slightly. The 2 beautiful women in the card seemed to be trembling with fear. The next moment, crash, crash, crash. In the card box, a card after a card was spit out from it, and it flew up, like a goddess scattered flowers, suspended in Du Feng's body. Giggle cluck. Dad knows, look at it, it's grey. Luo Luo's blushing face had an innocent and happy smile. It's as if Dad's nose is happily accompanying her, flying a kite. She raised a fleshy finger and twirled it gently. The cards floating beside Du Feng began to spin as if being fiddled with by her fingertips. As if turned into the sharpest, high-speed rotating blades. The air seemed to be cut open, and sharp winds and waves were stirring and blowing in the living room. The recent high-speed spinning card, it was only 1 centimeter away from Chen Xi. Chen Xi, underscore. She stared blankly at the cards hanging in front of her. Kept spinning, cutting the air, cut off the strands of her hair that were stirred up by the air. The trumpet and suana of Bai Shi seemed to be resounding in her ears again, and her grey head portrait drowning in a circle of forced smiles. Hat. You can't use the taboo device? The man's mouth does not have a single honest word. You are not pretending. Really, it's a showdown, right? Chen Xi felt the poker that kept spinning, as if a slight scratch could cut off her beautiful head. The inner fear is infinitely magnified. The power of the 3rd grade taboo device can be brought into full play. You said you were an ordinary person? He must have done it on purpose. This showdown method. It looks like a devil. At this moment, in Chen Xi's eyes, Du Feng is a real demon. She was the ordinary person who was toyed with the applause. She is just a little lower-ranked dreamer. There's no need to do this to her, right? Chen Xi was desperate. She has begun to give up treatment, waiting for death to come. Du Feng ignored Chen Xi. She also didn't know the rich inner drama in Chen Xi's heart. At this moment, he was somewhat surprised to look at the cards floating around. Fly up. Turn it up. Amazing. Is this controlled by Luo Luo? Du Feng looked at the high-spirited little head, the corners of his mouth hooked, as if he was saying to compliment me on Luo Luo. His eyes were full of surprises. My daughter, so amazing. Cow, ah, ah. Du Feng seems to know the correct way to open the cultivation system. This is really not an ordinary cultivation system. Perhaps, he, Du Feng, an ordinary person, can hug his daughter's thigh and become a professional dreamer. Then, make big money. Yes, make a lot of money. This was Du Feng's first thought. It is not for the love and peace of the world, nor is it for the great ambition of a world without disaster. Du Feng just wanted to make money. Vulgar, but it is real. This is the most simple wish of the majority of migrant workers. Make a lot of money to buy a big house for Luo Luo. Fulfill your wish. Luo Luo has 3 wishes. The first wish, which Du Feng can barely fulfill, and the third wish can be found all over the world slowly, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But the second wish is to change Luo Luo to a bigger house. With today's housing prices, Du Feng, as an ordinary person, feels that it is difficult to die. Suddenly, Du Fang felt dizzy for a while, as if the body was hollowed out. Whoa, whoa! The poker cards that were spinning at a high speed seemed to have lost their source of power. Like fluffy flocks, they returned to the card box in Du Fang's palm. Your dream spirit is not enough. In the retina, a line of small characters appeared, and then disappeared. Du Fang was completely paralyzed on the sofa. The eyes became incomparably vicissitudes and profound. Dad knows, is it gone? Luoluo pouted, as if the toy wasn't fun. She sat on the ground unhappy, hugged the pink pig doll in her arms, and shook it fiercely. The little pig doll's eyeballs popped out, opened its mouth wide, and made a pig cry of moo-oh moo-oh. Insufficient dream spirit. Du Fang pursed his lips, feeling a little embarrassed for his lack of persistence. On the retina, the warm and loving system panel jumps out. A lovely family owner, Du Fang age, 20 dream spirit, 0 props, Auntie's cards members, Luoluo, daughter, losing contact, losing contact. Mission, work hard for family harmony and family happiness, please find all the missing family members. Gone. Sure enough, a drop was gone. Du Fang sighed, although with the help of his daughter Luoluo, he was able to use the taboo device. However, this does not change the fact that he is still an ordinary person. However, the capacity of the dream spirit seems to be expandable. Experiencing more dream disasters and getting feedback from the dream spirits can increase the capacity of the dream spirits. Du Fang's eyes lit up slightly, he found a way to become stronger and richer. So, you have to become a professional dream master. After becoming a dream master, you can get the best of both worlds with a high salary and a dream disaster. That's right, a dream disaster. Just scratch it. The dream disaster is very dangerous, and if Du Fang wants to activate the taboo device, he must bring Luoluo, which means that he must also bring Luoluo when entering the dream disaster. Although Du Fang entered the dream disaster twice, he felt boundless warmth, and the aunties in the dream disaster were all super loving. But don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of what happens. What if the next dream disaster will be terrifying? His dream spirits are too few and not very lasting. With a family, accidents are easy to happen. So, for Luoluo's safety, it's best for their father and daughter to hide behind other dream transforming masters. Just rub it. Miss Chen, can you do me a favor? The dream spirit was exhausted, and Du Fang felt a little soft. Looking at Chen Xi, who closed his eyes and stretched his neck, as if preparing to die heroically, he coughed softly and shouted. Chen Xi's long eyelashes trembled, and then she opened her eyes blankly. Hey? She is not dead? Du Fang, he didn't kill her? What are you busy, you say? Chen Xi exhaled, if you can live, who wants to die? She looked at Du Fang and said quickly. It seems that she still has the purpose of being drained and used, so she doesn't need to die. I actually really want to become a dreamer, in order to be able to get in touch with the dream disaster. You just said that if you can use the taboo device proficiently, you can also be certified as a dreamer if you have a promoter. Du Fang looked at Chen Xi with burning eyes. Chen Xi was taken aback. So, I want you to be my promoter. Du Fang wanted to stand up and bow, with a sincere attitude and a sincere face. But after being squeezed dry, Du Fang's legs became weak and he didn't have the strength to stand up at all, so he could only raise his chin to show his sincerity. Chen Xi took a deep breath. This sitting position. The contempt of this chin-raised king. Is it a request? Actually, it's an order. Chen Xi pursed her lips. As a professional dreamer, she has her own pride. Order? Ah! How could I? Your order is not accepted. Okay. Chen Xi hurriedly smiled and agreed. Live, very nice. Du Fang was a little moved. Miss Chen is really enthusiastic and a good person. Du Fang wanted to stand up and bow to thank him, but his dream spirit was exhausted, his body was weak, and he couldn't stand up at all, so he had to raise his chin slightly again. Chen Xi supported the wall and walked out of Du Fang's house. She looked at the starry night sky, a little dazed. Alive. Feeling the lights in the world, she has the urge to cry. Finally, I don't have to be the grey avatar hanging on the notice board. But in my mind, the little devil girl with an extremely long tongue and a terrifyingly terrifying dreamer, can't cry anymore. Domain type dreamer. Or, a dream demon. Chen Xi looked at the starry sky and muttered. Dream demon? Probably not. If it is a dream demon, once exposed, it is absolutely impossible for her to come out alive. Besides, Du Fang also doesn't have the characteristics of a dream demon. That is to say, Du Fang should be a powerful domain-type dreamer. To be able to survive the dream disaster of the 9th rank, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is really not an ordinary person. However, with his strength, it shouldn't be difficult to become a professional dream master, right? Why should you use the taboo device to become a dream master? Although you can become a dreamer if you are proficient in using the taboo device, it is not within the system. Entering the system requires an assessment. The boss may have some big secrets, so, don't want to expose it. Do you want to be able to get in touch with Dream Calamity more without revealing secrets? It seems that there is only such an explanation. Chen Xi is taking the initiative to make up for Du Fang's reason for keeping her alive. At this moment, her cell phone rang. Caller ID, Captain Zhang Changlin. This guy who pits team members. Chen Xi's eyes were full of sorrow. However, after complaining, she pursed her lips. She was hesitating whether to tell the captain about Du Fang's secret. However, she was a little afraid. To accept, or not to accept. The ringing continued, and after hesitating for a while, she still answered the phone. But, at the moment of connection, between heaven and earth, there seemed to be a giggling laughter resounding. The heart suddenly trembled. Chen Xi suddenly raised her head and looked at the 13th floor of the community in front of her. The moonlight is hazy. At the railing, a little girl carrying a pink pig doll swaying in the wind grinned, revealing a long and narrow tongue full of barbs like a dragon, and her eyes were like crescent moons. Smiling, squatting on the railing, looking down at her. Thanks for watching, please subscriber. Chen Xi's face instantly turned black. Listen to my explanation. She really wanted to cut off the phone. But she was so stiff that she didn't even have the strength to move a finger. Under the moonlight, she seemed to see the little girl smiling. A row of sharp teeth, dancing tongue like a dragon. Bloody tears, Dao Tao's dreaming coercion. The brilliance of the bright moon was completely obscured, and the world fell into boundless darkness. What does she want to do? Chen Xi's heart was trembling. The next moment, the long and narrow tongue wrapped around Luoluo's body like a dragon suddenly drew closer, and in the blink of an eye, it approached from the 13th floor to an inch away from Chen Xi's face, and suddenly stopped. At this time, the air made a harsh sonic boom that could not be concealed. The dark clouds receded, Yuehua reappeared in the world and spread down. The screen seemed to stand still. Chen Xi's eyes widened. A tongue, as if from the underworld, wanting to pierce her eyebrows. Pierce her soul. This is a warning. Auntie, take care of your mouth, yo. In the milky voice, an unparalleled cold voice lingered in Chen Xi's ears. As the words say, this is a warning and a threat. Warning what? Then Chen Xi needs to realize it by himself. Perhaps, the less you reveal, the safer it is. Chen Xi doesn't want to die, she still has a beautiful youth, so she knows what to do next. The tongue disappears, the little girl holding the pig doll also disappeared. Everything seems to be an illusion, and it seems to be dragged into a dream. But are they really hallucinations and dreams? Chen Xi, a little disbelieving. She doesn't dare to gamble. Chen Xi, who was sweating profusely, looked again at the railing on the 13th floor. There, it was completely empty. Even the lights in the room went out with a snap, leaving only the cold moonlight. Then, what is it? She pursed her lips, and Chen Xi's eyes were full of complicated colors. There was even a sense of relief. Du Fang asked the weird little girl to threaten, but Chen Xi was relieved. I was afraid that Du Fang would do nothing and kill her ruthlessly. No matter what, tomorrow, I will definitely perform well. Chen Xi clenched his fists. In order not to become the grey head under the wreath. 4. Live. She will definitely perform well. The boss just wants to become a dream master. This is not an excessive requirement at all, nor is it a bad idea. So, if you obey him, why not? Hey! Chen Xi. Answer me quickly. What about people? The mobile phone in her hand kept making noises that made her feel noisy. Chen Xi raised her phone and glanced sideways. Without hesitation. Hang up. In an old black sedan, Zhang Changlin, who was smoking a cigarette, looked at Busy Yin's cell phone in amazement. Hang up my phone. I'm your captain. Zhang Changlin's face was a little dark. But at the same time, he was also a little worried if something happened to Chen Xi. There shouldn't be an accident, right? Even if the student took away the taboo device, according to the incomparably weak dream spirit strength of the opponent, it is basically impossible to threaten Chen Xi, who is at the level of the next dreamer. What's more, Chen Xi is also a mind power dreamer. Zhang Changlin took a deep breath, his brows folded into the word Chuan. But having said that, as the captain, he was still a little worried about Chen Xi's safety. Squeeze out the smoke, twist the key, and start the engine. Zhang Changlin was going to the address that Du Fang had filled in on the document. However, the vehicle has not yet moved, and his mobile phone lights up, accompanied by a prompt ringtone. Zhang Changlin hurriedly glanced at it. It was a message from Chen Xi. After get off work, private space, do not disturb. Zhang Changlin. Is this the attitude of talking to the captain? Niu Wow, is this the arrogant personality that belongs to young people? Zhang Changlin felt that there was a huge generation gap between himself and young people. Isn't it because she was allowed to spy on ordinary people, so she has a little temper? Zhang Changlin leaned on the car seat, rolled down the window, and the evening breeze was blowing. After a long time, he breathed a sigh of relief. People safe is good. As for the specific details, I'll ask Chen Xi when I go to work tomorrow. Du Fang. Wearing a black trench coat, Zhang Changlin squinted and lit a cigarette again. He murmured the name. A young man who was able to survive the 9th-rank dream disaster, is it really, an ordinary person? And that Lin Liulai, a psychiatrist. How did she become Du Fang's psychiatrist? Also, in the Jinling Du Dream Master Association, her resume is clean and somewhat abnormal. How can a psychiatrist in the Dreamers Association, how can his resume be so clean? Zhang Changlin shook the soot. Smoke, start, release the handbrake and step on the accelerator. The old black sedan drove slowly along the straight asphalt road, as if patrolling the city. On both sides of the road are flashing neon lights, thousands of lights, and people who are drunk with money. This is a city he needs to protect with his life. The next day, in the morning, the sun is just right again. Du Fang woke up from his room and stretched in relief. Get up and give Luoluo, who is playing with the piggy doll in the living room, a breakfast. Love poached eggs, plus a cup of hot milk, simple and nutritious. Luoluo was very happy to eat. Family, Luoluo 70/100. Looking at the system panel, the feelings with Luo Luo continue to heat up. The smile on Du Fang's face became brighter and brighter. Although this development system is a bit weird, it is undeniable that this kind of family affection that can be seen with numerical values makes people feel a sense of accomplishment. Du Fang set a small goal for himself. First, raise the affection between you and Luo Luo to 90%. As Du Fang, who grew up in an orphanage in his past and present life, he feels that this training system is very interesting. Luo Luo, Dad Bai will take you out to play today. Du Fang laughed. After drinking the hot milk in one gulp, Luo Luo's eyes lit up with milk stains on the corners of his mouth. Really? Luo Luo said in a milky voice, raised her little face, and looked at Du Fang in surprise. Du Fang's 10 slender fingers crossed each other and pressed against his chin. Of course it's true, but we have to go to the assessment to become a professional dreamer first. After becoming a professional dreamer, Dad will be able to make a lot of small money in exchange for a big house for Luo Luo. Only then can he play hide and seek with Luo Luo. Luo Luo dances happily. To live in a bigger house and play hide and seek is one of Luo Luo's simple wishes. Du Fang looked at Luo Luo with some pity. Luo Luo was special. Du Fang knew in his heart that no one could see her at all. Both Dr. Lin and Chen Xi were just pretending, in order to echo his illness. Du Fang once thought that Luo Luo might just be a mental illusion. However, after getting along this month, Du Fang understands that Luo Luo is not an illusion. There is a strange feeling that blood is thicker than water. As if Luo Luo really had his blood flowing. Besides, what if it's really an illusion? He really will raise Luo Luo as a daughter. Maybe others can't see him, but in Du Fang's eyes, Luo Luo is flesh and blood, crying and laughing. It's his daughter. Living people. That's fine. Had breakfast. Du Fang changed into a white shirt and put on an ironed black suit. There is no dress code to participate in the Dream Transition Master Assessment. However, Du Fang felt that a black suit and a white shirt would make a person look energetic. If he met an examiner who looked at his appearance, Du Fang might be able to get some preferential treatment. This is Du Fang's confidence in his appearance. After all, this world still sees faces. Locking the door, Du Fang held Luo Luo's little hand, and Luo Luo held the pink pig doll. Standing at the door, Luo Luo carefully stretched out her little feet in black leather shoes, and tapped the toes first. Apprehensive, fear, expect, excited. Du Fang could feel the emotions that Luo Luo showed, like a child who was afraid of life. She couldn't believe she could walk out of the house. Come on, Luo Luo, come quickly. Du Fang walked outside the door, squatted on the ground, opened his hands, and said with a smile. Luo Luo looked at the toes of her black leather shoes, and then at Du Fang, who was smiling and opening his hands, the corners of his mouth curved into crescents. She can really come out. This is since she woke up, walking out of the house for the first time. She smiled and rushed towards Du Fang's arms. The giggling laughter seemed to disperse the warm sun under the white clouds. One big and one small, walked down the street. In the eyes of many pedestrians, Du Fang's actions seemed very strange, because he seemed to be holding the air and talking to the air. Luo Luo, Dad Bai told you that this is a traffic light. Go at the red light, stop at the green light. This is a shared bicycle, everyone can ride it. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Along the way, Du Fang took Luo Luo's little hand and kept introducing her to things on the street. Luo Luo was very curious and blinked her big watery eyes. Once, her world, as far as her eyes could see, was only a square inch, dark, cramped, there is no sunlight. For a long time, I do not know the light. To her, the house is both a seal and a curse. It should be difficult for her to step out of the house. And now, she has a father nose. She seemed to be able to get out of the dark, cramped little house with the help of Dad Noi. There is a smile on her face, She is very happy. Turning his head, he looked at Du Fang's face as he pointed at things seriously, introduced them to her, and solved her confusion. Luo Luo is really happy. Dad knows, can you come out to play often after Luo Luo? Luo Luo raised her little face, looked at Du Fang, and asked carefully. Du Fang turned his head and looked at Luo Luo's delicate face like a fairy tale princess. Looking at the cautiousness and expectation that appeared on his face, he didn't know why he felt a little distressed. What had she experienced before? Why would you carefully make such a humble request? He squatted down on one knee, stretched out his hand, and gently pinched Luo Luo's little face. Du Fang showed a soft smile. Of course, wherever Luo Luo wants to go, Dad will take Luo Luo. If you don't believe me, Dad will hook you up. Falling long eyelashes trembling lightly, Du Fang took her little hand. One big and one small, two little fingers entangled in the air. Du Fang said softly and softly, hang on a hook for 100 years, don't change. There are many reasons why Du Fang wants to become a professional dreamer. The first reason is because professional dreamers are very profitable. Once you become a dreamer in the establishment, the state will pay tens of thousands of basic salary every month, in addition to 5 insurances and 1 housing fund, additional meal allowance, housing allowance, and so on. The most important thing is that the professional dreamer also has a commission. When a dream disaster is attacked, the state will pay the subsidy, depending on the strength of the dream disaster and the participation of the personnel. The state has given such favorable conditions and a very high social status, and the purpose is self-evident, which is to win over the dream master. Let most dreamers be used by the country. Put an end to the birth of some dreamers who choose to betray the country because of their interests and conditions. Take the risk and betray the country, for what? Not for profit. And since the country can give huge benefits, why should it betray? What's more, the dream masters attacked and plundered the dream disaster, and they were taking their lives to benefit the people and maintain the harmony and stability of the society. It is understandable to have high salaries and high benefits. The second reason. Du Fang is looking for family. Because, only by becoming a dream master can you justify the attack on the dream disaster. And Du Fang is very clear that his strange system of love each other's family requires him to find other family members. The same family as Luo Luo. Where can these families be found? According to the experience of adopting Luo Luo, his future family members who have temporarily lost contact will have to find it from the dream disaster. This is the most important reason. Du Fang is definitely not purely for money. The subway arrives at the station. Du Fang led Luo Luo and walked slowly among the various crowds. Get out of the subway station and walk 200 meters. Du Fang stopped in front of a building. Slowly raising his head, a building entirely made of glass appeared in front of him like a behemoth. The Dream Building. The place where the Dream Master Association is located. It is also one of the landmark buildings in Jinling today. In today's era, in order to facilitate the work of the dreamers, and to go out in time to attack the random dream disasters, every city will build a dream building. The Duman building in Jinling City has a total of 88 floors. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows on the top floor of the building, you can overlook the prosperity and lights of the entire Jinling City. It's very high. Du Fang swallowed. There is a feeling of a countryman entering the city. The huge and towering buildings always give people a sense of depression that is hard to breathe. Although, it is not the first time for him to come to Duman building, but his heart is still shocked by this magnificent building. With an uneasy mood, Du Fang led Luo Luo, stepped onto the stairs of the building, and entered the lobby on the first floor. Just entered the hall. Pacing around in place for a long time, Chen Xi, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly lit up. With a bright smile on his face, he flew towards Du Fang. Lin Liulai wore sunglasses and a white coat that symbolized a doctor. Psychologist. That's also a doctor. The target entered the Duman building. This is the first time that Du Feng has walked out of the house with a goal since he woke up for a month. Will you continue to monitor? Lin Liulai wore a pair of blue lighting headphones on her ear. Her cold words were transmitted through the earphones. The good-looking eyes under the sunglasses are looking at Du Feng, who is holding hands, and is welcomed into the Duman building by Chen Xi with a bright smile on his face. The voice in the earphone was silent for a long time. After a long time, the order was issued. Entering the Duman building. Is it to participate in the Duman Master Assessment again? Continue to monitor. If possible, observe the assessment and make an evaluation. Lin Liulai didn't speak. With a cold face, she cut off the call with the organization in the headset indifferently. The red lips parted lightly, and she let out a breath. Afterwards, she took off her sunglasses, stepped on high-heeled shoes with white insteps exposed, and walked towards the building. Brother Feng! You're here. I've already given you a number, get ready, and we can go to participate in the Dream Transcendence Master's assessment. Chen Xi was full of smiles. On the childish face still wearing baby fat, she could not see the psychological shadow left by the horrific encounter last night. Thank you. Du Feng nodded seriously. He, Du Feng, has always been a very civilized and polite person. I will always be grateful to those who help me. Like the ants in the dream disaster, like the enthusiastic Chen Xi in front of me. Chen Xi was flattered. Boss, don't do this. I am afraid. She turned her head to look at Du Feng's arm. The arm was holding hands, as if it was holding someone. Chen Xi immediately understood, Du Feng's daughter Luoluo is here. With a hard face towards the air, he squeezed out a smile. Yo, Luoluo is here too. Du Feng smiled brightly. It's rare to come out to play today. Luoluo is in a good mood. Luoluo, say hello to auntie. Luoluo didn't speak. Her delicate little face like a fairy tale princess was full of innocence. You can call me sister. Although it was not important, Chen Xi thought about it and protested a little. Chen Xi was wearing jeans today, with a refreshing white short-sleeved upper body and a tender baby face, just like a high school student. After entering the elevator, Chen Xi pressed the button on the 18th floor. When the elevator door was about to close, a hand was placed on the door, and the elevator door reopened. Zhang Changlin, who was wearing a black trench coat and had oily hair of 7 or 3 points, came into view. With the windbreaker floating, Zhang Changlin silently walked into the elevator with the smell of smoke full of vicissitudes. He glanced at Du Feng, and finally, his eyes fell on Chen Xi. Eyes, a little resentful. Xiao Chen, you hung up on me last night. You can have a small temper, but you must distinguish between the main and the secondary. Otherwise, if you change your boss in the future, you will easily suffer a big loss. We can't let our tempers come to us when we are mixed in the workplace. Zhang Changlin reminded bitterly. Chen Xi's face turned red. She is a little confused. This is the first time the captain has come to work so early in this period of time, right? Just because she hung up last night? So, the captain came to squat her early? Captain, the same neurotic as always. Team. Captain. Chen Xi was embarrassed. Du Feng, right? Zhang Changlin turned to look at Du Feng and laughed. Du Feng held Luoluo and nodded awkwardly. Du Feng recognized this middle-aged man. Yesterday, the captain of the Duman division team was also the captain of Chen Xi. What are you doing at Duman building today? Zhang Changlin is very easygoing. As he spoke, he pressed the elevator button. Chen Xi didn't speak. She wanted to secretly bring Du Feng to complete the assessment of Dream Transcendence Master, but was caught by the captain. Du Feng glanced at Chen Xi, then smiled brightly, and said generously, Miss Chen told me yesterday that if you are proficient in the taboo device, you can also become a dreamer. Therefore, I asked her to help as the promoter. Come today. Take the test. Zhang Changlin was startled. She frowned slightly and gave Chen Xi a deep look. Then, he recalled Du Fang's words. In other words, Du Fang really took away the taboo weapon from yesterday's third-stage dream disaster? Here comes the question, how does an ordinary person take away the taboo device? Ding! Just when the elevator door was about to close, a plain white and slender hand reached in and blocked the elevator door. The door opened again. Lin Liulai wore a white coat and walked into the elevator with a cold face. Dr. Lin. Du Fang was a little surprised. Lin Liulai looked at Du Fang and pretended to be stunned. Then, a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth and she nodded slightly. It seemed like a coincidence. Acting. Simple, smooth, not contrived. The tormented elevator door finally closed and slowly ascended. The atmosphere in the elevator was suddenly quiet and strange. Zhang Changlin gave Lin Liulai a meaningful look, and then his eyes fell on Du Fang again, breaking the peace. Brother Du, so you really took away the taboo device of yesterday's dream disaster? Zhang Changlin asked. Yes. Du Fang said with a smile, very calm and did not hide. He will take part in the taboo device use assessment later, and he can't hide it, besides. Du Fang didn't think there was anything to hide about this. His taboo device has a dignified origin, it was given by my aunts. No regrets at all, what's there to be afraid of? Zhang Changlin became interested, and smiled as if he was chatting. Xiao Du, the strength of your dream spirit is very weak, less than 1 energy unit, a little stronger than ordinary people. I take the liberty to ask, the dream disaster of the 3rd rank. How did you take away the taboos in it as an ordinary person? Is it so straightforward to ask? Don't you want some foreplay? Chen Xi leaned against the wall of the elevator, her flat chest kept rising and falling, and she was a little scared. She is very aware of Du Fang's horror. After all, he is a domain-type dream master who hides his demonic nature. Especially that little girl with a long tongue. Super fierce. Although Captain Zhang Changlin is very strong, if he annoys the opponent, have you ever fought? Once the fight broke out, would you, a low-ranking dreamer at the shrimp level, be killed by the aftermath? Lin Liulai was also a little surprised. The taboo device of yesterday's dream disaster was in Du Fang's hands? She really doesn't know that. One more item to be added to the evaluation content. The atmosphere, as if at this moment, suddenly dropped to freezing point. Inside the elevator, Zhang Changlin, Chen Xi, and Lin Liulai all stared at Du Fang. Du Fang led Luoluo, his smile still on his face. However, there was a hint of shyness and embarrassment in the bright smile. Du Fang looked at Zhang Changlin, as if it was a little hard to tell. That taboo device? I'll be frank. After I won 5 games in a row, the ants gave it to me. Maybe it's because he thinks that Lian Sheng is too simple, and the taboo device comes too easily, which will cause a bad misunderstanding and make him seem like a soft-boiled eater. So, Du Fang thought for a while and added with a serious expression. I, Dao Dazu, gave my aunties 5 springs. It was the success that conquered them. It's not easy for me. P.S. The new book seems to be read after reading, please follow up, please ask for the recommended ticket and monthly pass.